Greetings, Portal Master. I am...
Not Eon, no, it's me actually. Hi, I'm Eon. Not that Eon, no, the N is capitalized. Essence of non-existence. I like Skylanders. Today we'll be talking about the Trap Masters. If it wasn't obvious enough, I mean it is in the title. But first, a brief explanation. Skylanders Trap Team was released in September of 2014 as the fourth mainline Skylanders game, and I love it with my whole heart. Trap Team, I adore you. You, your bugs. I put my controller down for 2 seconds, and your broken villain timers. Are you stuck as Luminous?
This is awesome.
Do we get to finish?
Yeah!
We get to finish! Yeah! As with most other games, there was a brand new hero team released for Trap Team, known as the Trap Team, or more commonly the Trap Masters. There are 2 for each element, except for light and dark for whatever reason, which means endless possibilities. Each of these individual characters have their own personal background to them, which I am here to explain. Badly, I am not very clever. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you all to... All 18 Trap Masters stories poorly explained. Yes, I am aware there are probably a million other videos talking about the exact same thing. Let me have my fun. We'll be following left to right on the Skylanders logo just because it's the easiest way for me to remember them. First up, we have the air element, which means Gusto. What an excellent starting point. I know.
Gusts and glory!
Gusto was once a cloud wrangler, as the wiki puts it, who learned the ability of wind. One day, this group of dragon hunters came to kill Gusto's mentor, who just so happened to be a cloud dragon. But Gusto was no coward and decided to defend the dragon. Somehow he actually won that fight with a big stick. He didn't even have the Traptanium yet. Either way, Eon saw this and was like, yes, give this man Traptanium now! And so Gusto is now a Trap Master.
A storm is coming.
My personal favourite of the two. Thunderbolt was raised on the legendary Mount Cloudpierce, and every year they would hold a contest seeing if anyone could wield the Storm Sword, an artifact with the ability to change the seasons in Skyland. Pretty cool considering it is never featured again. Obviously, Thunderbolt won this contest. That's kinda how main character syndrome works. However, on the day that he was to be presented with the sword, an evil frost mage stole the sword and threw Skyland into a deep winter. He quickly gave haste, punched the stupid mage in its stupid face, got his sword back, and by that point he had officially won the contest and the sword. Through this, he received but another sword, this time made of Traptanium, becoming a Trap Master along with the others. Next, we have the life element. Yay, bushwhack time!
Axe to the max!
Bushwhack is a tree elf, part of the rich Arcadian Timberland clan. I am praying that I said that right. He was originally meant to be a ranger, but got kicked out for being too short and had to study with Arbo. Arbo! I get he's a funny guy, but that must have been a tough childhood. Big yikes. Side note, Arbo is actually taller than Bushwhack in his story. Yes, very accurate game, well done. Bushwhack was then later given an enchanted axe, of which he used to save the other elves from these trolls that had invaded, and soon after became both a ranger, like he was supposed to be originally, and a Trap Master. And now, I'd like to pause for a moment to welcome you all to Eon's Nerd Corner, a small segment where I will go on a short nerdy rant about something stupid related to the topic. For this particular example, I will be giving a fun fact about Bushwhack. Although in his story he is claimed to be very small, poor guy got banished for being too short. He's actually taller than most in-game Skylanders, which is very ironic to say the least.
Deal with it.
Toughluck and her tribe was once the guards of the Fortunata Springs. Oh god, I'm gonna butcher all of these names. the source of all good luck in Skylands, though some of Chaos's minions had been hiding in the canyons and one day tried to drain the area of all its luck. Fortunately, Tough Luck was at work when this happened and used her skill and unbeatable good luck, which I feel isn't really a skill, and drove off the minions. I guess she got thirsty or something, because it says here, she drank from the magical waters. I don't know why I mentioned that, I'm sorry. She decided to leave her tribe and instead join the Trap Team. In complete contrast, we have the Undead element.
I've got the edge.
Oh boy, I've been waiting for this one. It's Crypt King! You know this guy, and you love him. Who doesn't? Common misconception, but Crypt King himself is not Archaean. It's just his armor, that is. Crypt King was once a disembodied spirit that travelled Skylands for years until he found his way into an ancient Archaean weapon vault, of which he found the suit of armor and made it his own. Suddenly, this set off an auto-defense system, which activated an army of Archaean war machines. He immediately threw his sword and self into battle, utterly destroying every single machine. Knowing he was powerful, Crypt King seeked out the Skylanders and was, to no surprise, made a trap master. So in a summary, why do we need the giants if we have this guy?
Cut to the chase!
Shortcut was known for being the greatest seamster, making the finest clothing on all of Skylands. Unfortunately, a group of skeleton pirates ordered Shortcut to stitch together a magic hat that would tell them the futures of everyone in Skylands, or suffer the consequences. Though Shortcut was determined to stand up to them, and snuck onto their ship to sew their clothes together. You tried, buddy, it's okay. He then wrapped them around the ship, preventing them from escaping. This caught the attention of Eon, whom then made him a trap master. By the way, who else thought that what Shortcut holds are scissors? They're actually shears. In editing this video, I found that out. The Earth element probably has my least favourite stories in. Not because they're bad or anything, they're just confusing.
Taking charge!
Headrush was raised in a small village under the curse created by a powerful harvest sphinx, which forced villagers to plough the fields purely for its own benefit. No one dared to confront the sphinx about this until Headrush ran through the village and yelled a mighty yodel that awakened the villagers from their spell. The village quickly followed behind her as she charged to the sphinx to take it down once and for all. Thanks to her leadership and bravery, she was quickly made a part of the Trap Team.
Hammer it home!
The volcanic lava pits of Mount Scorch were used to forge the greatest weapons in Skylands, and Wallop was seen as the finest apprentice in the land, tirelessly welding scalding metal into incredible tools. This was all until one day, a fierce fire vapour awoke from its slumber inside of the volcano. It immediately attacked Wallop's village, but Wallop quickly came to save the day by giving the serpent a piece of his mind. His hammers were then infused with Traptanium, and he uses them to defend Skylands and fight off any evil that arises. I don't really have much input about them. They're the most middle-of-the-road stories for me. They're not necessarily bad, but not amazing or memorable either.
Boom time!
Now, Kaboom's background is very similar to Wallop's, which makes me think maybe somehow, some way they had communication at some point. Kaboom was a blacksmith from the ancient volcanic island, Munitions Forge. What is it with this game and stupid area names? Where people crafted machinery that was used all over Skylands. However, the villainous Captain Ironbeard wanted to obtain the forge and keep it to himself, to build an unstoppable pirate armada. Kaboom then went and built the boom cannon and fired it right at the pirates. One by one they would all fall, leaving Kaboom victorious and valued.
Bringing the heat!
Young Wildfire, part of the Fireclaw clan, was to participate in the Rite of Infernos, a test of survival in the treacherous Fire Plains. And although he was treated as an outcast for being made of literal gold, not even allowed to attempt the challenge, he still decided to sneak in with his father's enchanted shield. In the nick of time, Wildfire found the clan cornered by a giant flame scorpion and jumped in front to protect them with his shield while they escaped. Though Wildfire was injured in this fight, the shield magically changed him and made him stronger. signifying he was the greatest of his kind. The shield was then infused with Traptanium, and he stands ready to defend Skylands. I always thought it was funny how Wildfire is weak to fire, despite being of the fire element, and using fire abilities.
Star bright, star fight!
Lobstar originated from the undersea kingdom of Star City, and was the owner and head chef of his own thriving restaurant, which often cooked for the king. At the same time, Lobstar was also secretly training a mysterious art of fighting, living a double life pretty much. Lobstar is a secret spy confirmed, though he had to break his secret when a Leviathan threatened to swallow up Lobstar's guest and captured the king. Thankfully, everything he had learned worked out in the end for him, as he defeated the Leviathan, forcing it to leave Star City for good. He was then noticed by Eon and made a trap master for his bravery.
Croc and Rowl!
Snapshot came from a long line of crocodigators, which, as we know, are clearly the superior to the Aladiles, where they would hunt chompies for sport. After collecting every chompy, Snapshot decided to venture out to learn new techniques to hunt more challenging creatures. He journeyed far and wide, perfecting his archery skills with the elves and his hunting skills with the wolves. Soon enough, Snapshot was considered the greatest monster hunter in Skylands, catching the attention of Eon and becoming the leader of the Trapmasters. Ah, the magic element. Easily my favourite element in Skylanders, even containing some of my top favourite Skylanders in the entire series.
Mind over matter!
From the Sardonic Mountains, Blastermind, the hide-and sheep champion, was about to set a new record in Skylands, when suddenly the ground collapsed beneath him and he fell into a deep cavern. This cavern was filled with crystals, perhaps they were Traptanium, but we can't be too sure. It just says that they were psionic power crystals, but then later on says they are Traptanium psionic, so yeah. Anyway, the crystals had heard Blastermind's worried thoughts, and they deemed him worthy and bestowed upon him psionic powers. Above the cave was an angry ham dragon who was about to attack, until Blastermind arose from the depths and defeated the ham dragon with his newly found mind powers.
Out of sight!
Enigma comes from an alternate dimension, a place between the worlds, until one day he was summoned by a Mabu mystic, who was really just looking for someone to play Skystones with. They gained a bond where Enigma would tell stories about the worlds he has visited, and where he originates from. Although the darkness, yes, the darkness who is actually a really big problem that Eon himself actually panicked about in Superchargers, and was pretty much the main problem when it comes to the Core of Light, caught wind of these stories, and he just so happened to be looking for a dimension to take over at that time, and was going to send an army to take over and destroy Enigma's home dimension. Enigma sacrificed himself to protect his realm, closing the only portal to his home dimension, trapping the darkness out and trapping himself in Skylands. How do you possibly trap something that breaks dimensions in another dimension? Because of this sacrifice, he was anointed as a Skylander and a Trapmaster. Enigma is easily one of my favourite characters for this, and I honestly don't know why I don't see many people talking about the fact he has the ability to just casually open and close portals, and even trap the most powerful villain in Skylanders history, minus Chaos's pathetic attempts, I guess. AKA the thing that literally takes over and destroys dimensions. Enigma is so powerful, and yet is a background character in everything else aside from the game he originated in. Where was this guy during Superchargers?
All geared up.
I quite like the tech Skylanders, and they didn't lose out on the Trapmasters either. Gearshift especially, I love her design. Gearshift was treated as the princess on the tech island of Metalana, as King Mercurius would tend to see her as his daughter. But rather than performing royal duties, Gearshift preferred to spend her time working on subterranean machines. Though when her father heard this, he was furious, until one day a squadron of undead Storm Riders suddenly attacked, but Gearshift used her knowledge to hide him. She then fought the Storm Riders, inspiring the workers to rise up and eventually drove them out of the kingdom. For this she was granted a new Traptanium weapon and made part of the Trap Team.
Down for the count!
Coming from a race of robots that operated the machinery for the legendary Skytrain, Jawbreaker had led an ordered existence, following to every rule and regulation with passion. However, one day, an army of gear trolls invaded and attempted to take the Skytrain for their own evil use. Jawbreaker then snapped out of his regularity and threw himself straight into the action, punching away the trolls, forcing them to retreat. For this he was recognised as not just any robot, but an individual, and was made a Trapmaster. Thankfully, we're almost done. The light and dark elements only have one Trapmaster for each, rather than two like the others.
See the light!
Nightlight was once the protector of the starlight, the source of light, wisdom, and vast energy in Radiant City. But Luminous wanted to steal and own the starlight for himself, probably because he wanted to use it as a wig. Without warning, Luminous attacked and the two took to the skies in a battle that lasted many days. After all, Nightlight stood victorious and Luminous was entrapped within Sunscraper Spire. Ever wonder why Luminous was trapped in the first place? This is why. Oh yeah, he also became a Trapmaster for this.
Nowhere to hide!
Nightmare was one of the dark centaurs that guarded the Oracle of Stones, an enchanted game of dark sky stones that could predict the future. However, it was stolen by an unknown force. Of course, Nightmare searched for the stones, as it could be very dangerous if asked the wrong questions too many times, being able to unleash a terrible curse over Skylands. Fortunately, she found it in a cave just in time to defeat the force and retrieve the stones, before they could ask the final wrong question. Thanks to this, she joined the Trap Team, using her dark abilities for good. And that's it. Finally, the Trap Team's pretty cool. Just to end things off, I have made a little tier list of what I personally think are the best stories. Yeah, no, I definitely don't have favoritism. Hope this has made any sense to you, because it hasn't made any to me. And I'm the one making the bloody video. Adios.